Back to another Rockford CCG attack package series. Today we're going to be going over the throw keyword on the Earth symbol. The Earth symbol is primarily known for its throw package. Also, it has supplemental cards that allow you to get extra damage or maybe damage redux on certain on your opponent's attacks to make you live longer. Because the throw decks are a little slower, they're not as fast as some of the attack packages nowadays. So let's get into what the throw keyword actually means. The LGR explanation is going to be coming up down in the corner. It means when this attack is with the throw attack is completely blocked, it deals half damage rounded up during the damage step. So as that finishes scrolling up, we're going to get into the first card. First card is Swallow Your Soul. It only does 3 damage, but the big kicker on this card is the E. If this attack deals 3 or more damage, add the top card of your deck to your momentum. So if your deck has cards like Missile Launcher, Dark Chirito, Nutcracker, for instance, or anything that has like an EX or a powerful ability, this card's really great. It will supplement it. It's a safe attack, so your opponent can't reversal. If you're running a 3 damage package, you can also take use of the combo E. So more often than not, you're going to have to add a couple damage onto this, just so you can get the extra momentum. More often than not, I don't think an opponent's going to block a 3 damage throw because it's only going to be 1 health, but that 1 health could end up turning the game in their favor or not. Next, we're going to go to Shokan Grab. If you're Goro, this card has 2 uses. If you're not Goro, it's basically, hey, look, I'm going to throw a massive attack at you. This is kind of known with like decks like the fire versions, or cards that play a lot of the Jet Mill cards. Just because they can get more 5 diff or more cards into their discard pile for massive damage. Next is Spinning Pile Driver. This is really a control piece for the Earth symbol, even actually on all 3 of the symbols, because you can target certain cards like Ophidiophobia or Rhythmic Fighting Style, which really shut down throw decks. One cool thing about this, if someone tries to prepare to fight it, it doesn't work because it's a mid-block. You know, because it's a mid throw, and it's still going to do damage because it just is not an off zone block, and Prepare to Fight stops off zones. So in any throw package, you're going to want to run Tombstone Stunner. One, you get a 1. It's because it can be discarded from your card pool during the end phase, combat phase. Excuse me. Also has stun, and then the big cool ability on this card. Your next throw gets +2 damage. If this is blocked, your next card gets -2 difficulty. So if you're like a Goro or Reptile, maybe not a Reptile, a Jet, a Vicious, Johnny Cage, you're able to pump damage big on this thing with like a Pull My Trigger, or, you know, a Zeki refusing to let go, you know, Fusion Refusal, stuff like that, or even a Throw It Down before it. Your opponent's not going to want to eat 7 to 8 to 9 damage, so they're probably going to block it, take 5, and then your next throw gets +2 damage and it's -2 difficulty. So it allows you to chain out long giant attack strings. Next is Sliding Ankle Breaker. It is a safe attack, so that's a plus. It also cannot be discarded from your card pool during the combat phase, so you're always going to net that momentum. Also, it has an interesting ability. So it can get +1 or -1 damage. So if you have abilities on your character or on your in your staging area that maybe react when you have a damage redux on your attack, you can use those. And then if it's blocked, you gain 2 vitality. So you have a little bit of health gain just to supplement this grindy, throwy deck build. Next is Death Valley Faceplant. It's been a staple since Tides of Vengeance, I believe. It has stun, which is great. A couple of the throws have some stun on it. It's a mid attack, so it can't be prepared to fight it, so that's great. Also, if it deals less than its printed damage, you get to gain vitality and commit 1 foundation in your opponent's staging area, which is great because you're going to need to gain some vitality because you're going to want to play a longer game. You're going to be more of like a clock deck, and the longer the game goes, the more it swings into your favor because you're going to be picking your opponent apart with 5, 6, 3 damage throws and gaining little increments of vitality. What's cool about this is that you get stun 1 on top of a target committal in your opponent's staging area, which is awesome. The only 2 check I had in this list, Spider Suplex. It has Desperation, and it's a reversal, so it gives you a little bit of an option that if you block, swing with this, pump the damage, and you also gain 3 vitality. So you have a little bit of a vitality gain package in between these 3 attacks right here. The only bad thing is it does run a 2. But it is Desperation 4, so if the game goes late and you're like a higher health character and you're like in the high teens, you're probably going to be able to play this on a 4 and gain 3 and then maybe use some other abilities to really chunk on some damage so your opponent has to block it. Next is Ocho Throw. It's another safe stun attack, which is kind of neat because you have kind of the safe stun sub package in the throw package, which really works. Kind of like how there's the life gain sub package. E, remove the top card of your opponent's deck. This attack gets plus X damage. X equals the remove card's block modifier. So if you're lucky enough to get like a 3, you're like an 8 damage plus whatever else you add onto it. Your opponent's probably going to want to block this just because they're not going to want to chunk so much damage. Plus, it gets a little bit of a mill. So if you remove something cool that has a high block mod, I guess that's great. If you're playing like the long game strat, like Ozeki or even like an E Honda deck, so you can, hey, look, it's this card. So you can mill your opponent down and take away their resources. So playing throw decks, you're going to have like this massive amount of momentum more often than not, unless your opponent's like playing really, really hard momentum hate. So you're gonna need like a momentum dump somehow. So I would assume I'm gonna say the best momentum dump in the game right now is Dark Chirito. One, your opponent can play abilities that reduce the damage of your attacks, so all your throws are gonna be super fucking huge. And then you also don't want your cards to leave your card pool because you're gonna want momentum, or if they try to like prepare to fight this and kick your multiples, that won't work. Also, if the game does go long enough, because you're going to want to try to go to like turn 4, 5, 6, your opponent may go into deadlock. So this also, if this hits, your multiple copies are unblockable. So you're looking at 12 unblockable damage. So we're going to go into assets. I didn't pick any actions. I put some in the side, as you can see on the screen, just because it's more symbol locked than it is character locked. So if you're playing like a Hondo or a Vicious, you can play Throw It Down. But I got Death Charge. Not often, you're not going to use the R that often, but it helps. Also, the E, if your opponent attempts to block this attack, it gets damage bonus equal to their printed block mod. So if they're blocking your throws, you're getting 1, 2, 3, 4. There's also 5 difficulty block mods now. So you could be getting a whole shit ton of damage on top of your throws, which are already doing guaranteed damage unless they use one of the cards mentioned before. Pull my trigger. This was suggested by Rio Gopaul from the UK. He said that this card's really great with Spider Suplex, which I have to agree, because you can play non-attack cards during your opponent's turns after you use this because you're blocking, and reversaling, you're not playing cards as forms on your opponent's turn, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, it gives you a really neat kind of, if you block with a card, you can make your opponent destroy a ready face-up foundation, so it kind of takes away a resource. But you're really looking on your kill turn to pump the 3 damage on these throws just so you can just chunk your opponent down. Moving on to some foundations. Probably at a 3 or a 4 of in an Earth throw deck, you're looking at Surveyor. Just because you're going to have this reusable momentum source, you're going to be able to, as long as you can track your momentum properly, you're going to be able to get, if you're a 5-hander, a 6 card, a 6-hander, a 7th card. We didn't put any 7-handers in the throw deck because I think really the only throw deck that could work is off of life, and that's with like Morgan and Spike 1. So we won't touch that. But also, you do have like a low, if you're playing some low attacks, which you are with Sliding Ankle Breaker, you get 3 extra damage. So this card's a very, very good valued card. Ozeki, it's some extra damage. And also, if your attack is blocked because it's so big, you get to remove 2 cards from the discard pile. From the game, so it kind of like a good use in like maybe a Goro matchup or a Punch and Judy matchup, or someone that likes to tutor cards out of their discard pile, or they like play cards that pull cards out. Obviously, you're gonna need some cards to help you survive if you're playing this kind of grindy throw matchup. So refusing to let go, it can add you 2 damage to an attack, or it can reset an attack to your printed damage -2, so you can get some extra longevity out of your character. I don't know if this card's been played very often, but I like seeing it in some decks, especially in a throw deck, because if you're using Spinning Pile Driver, and there are a lot of flip effects now in the game. Unworthy of Zal Moxes could get you +3 damage. Also, if you have to flip something, like if your opponent Spires and Dragons, you're a Surveyor, or refusing to let go, or if you have a commander of Outworld army, you can destroy to unflip a foundation to reuse it. Fusion Refusal. This is just in there because it's a really great card. You can play it as committed. If you play it as a block, it doesn't count towards progressive. If you add it during your combat phase, doesn't count towards progressive. So it just gets really great value. Plus, if you're Guile, you can play this, play an attack, play a Earth Charge. I think it's an Earth Charge that has to be yeah, after playing an Earth Charge attack. So you may have to kind of tweak your attack lineup to bring it back down, maybe with like Flash Kick or something. But yeah, you can reuse this if you're able to snap it back down. Improved design, since Earth doesn't have a lot of supplemental card draw, like actual card draw. There's some like supplemental card draw, but like on characters other than Goro and Vicious, you're kind of hand starved. You do have some draw, like on E Honda if your opponent blocks. If you block, I should say. And then also Huitzel gets to add a card back to his hand, but you're traditionally card starved in an Earth deck. So this actually will help you. If you check an attack, you get to add it to your hand. And this is another card from Rio Gopaul, commander of the Outworld army. So if you're taking 4 or more damage from an unblocked attack, you get to flip this to flip an opponent's foundation, and then the next attack this turn gets -2 damage. So if you're getting kind of beat on because you're a 4 or 5-hander, this will actually help you survive. So we're going to go to characters. Number 1 character in my mind, Goro. You get to tutor cards out of your discard pile, so you can grab any throws you want. You can grab all the Spider Suplexes to gain a bunch of health. You can set up your Dark Chirito, super easy. If you're playing Earth or Fire, you can grab your missile launchers to supplement your throw lineup. Not too bad. Johnny Cage, he has damage buff and damage redux on his character. Also, he can build for free if he takes damage. So if you're looking to like guarantee damage as a 5-hander, throws are usually pretty good. Now we're getting into some 6-handers. Reptile with all the mid-attack throws that are in the game. He shines pretty well. He's adding 1 to 3 damage on an attack after his first attack, and he has hand disruption, and he has the nice damage redux on character. You just have to be careful if your opponent's a mostly mid lineup, because then his middle E doesn't really work very well. Jet, there's not a whole, like, he can bump his stun ratings up from 1 to 3 with his R, but you're really using him to discard top 2 cards of your deck to add +2 damage. So like him and Goro would really take advantage of Shokan Grab because you're able to mill cards out of your deck. Vicious, he's going to cut himself to have your opponent flip foundation, so Unworthy of Zalamoxis. It couples well with Spinning Pile Driver, so you can target flip 1 card with Spinning Pile Driver and then use his E to have them flip a second one to start taking away their resources. Also, if your opponent's not blocking your attacks, you're getting a 2 extra damage and you're getting a card draw. So he's one of those characters that really shine in a deck like it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. So your opponent will be taking 5, 6, 7, 8 damage, or they have to block, still take half damage, and you if they don't block, you get to draw a card. So it's really, you put your opponent in this really, really weird game. Huitzel, he makes everything a throw. So in a way, you can still, if they say they weigh a true warrior, your throw attack, or they somehow play like I guess prepared to fight. I don't know. I guess if they use like a perfect block, I don't know about that. I have to check the ruling on that. But yeah, so if your opponent completely blocks one of your attacks, you get to still does have damage, and you can make them discard a card from their hand. Honda, if they block a printed 5, you get to mill cards. So he's more of the mill strat guy. Also, after opponent plays a block, you get to seal the block or a non-character card in their staging area, and you get to draw a card. So he's kind of like a pseudo 6-hander. Geef, I put him on there for the memes. No one plays him. He's really bad. But he has a first E that is your opponent's face-up attack gets -2 damage, and then he has to commit a foundation to get his next throw attack +3 damage. He's not very good, but I threw him on there just because of the meme. Marathi, he's seen some play in the high difficulty attack decks. because he gets so much extra damage out of his first E. And then he has actual supplemental gated card draw if your attack is printed 6 difficulty attacks damage is at least double its printed damage. So you're going to have to supplement 6 damage attacks into your throw deck to actually make that work. And then Guile. Guile just adds stun and damage to everything. So if you do play some charge attacks, you get to add 2 foundations from your card pool to your staging area. But more often than not, you can totally play a Guile deck just off of his top E, because that 3 damage actually helps out half block math. So it will actually pump it 1 or 2 more damage points more on the half block. So we're going to go into some supplemental cards that are more of a case-by-case basis, depending on your character, symbols, or strategy. Throw it down. So really, this only works with like Goro, Vicious, Honda, because they have the all symbols. So it gives 1 speed, 3 damage. The speed's not that big of a deal, but the damage, and then if it hits, which it probably will, if it's a throw, you get to draw a card. So it helps you draw cards. Also, it also has, if your opponent's starting to swing giant attacks by damage pumping, you can use the R to cancel the effect. Back in the old Dimitri 1 days, this card was a 4 of. It would be able, you were able to pull it from your discard pile using Dimitri's ability, but you could play this as a non-throw attack in your deck just to get the extra 2 damage on your throws. Mexican Typhoon, this was another Rio Gopaul add-in, mostly for Vicious, or if you're a deck that really relies on flipping your opponent's board, because you can make them discard 2 cards, and then you get 1 damage for every face-down foundation in your opponent's staging area. The only issue is it rolls a 1 now. I think if it was printed nowadays, it would have a 2 or a 3. It may even be a 5 diff. It's just badly statted for... it has a really great effect, but it's just that 1 check kills it. And finally, Shokan Prince. This is down here because you have to play a low hand size character. So if you're Goro fighting another Goro, this does really nothing. So it's really in there for Goro, Johnny, Huitzel, Honda, Geef, the characters that have low hand size that traditionally aren't played that much, but get a bonus because you're trying to slow the game down and survive. So that's it, guys. I want to say shout outs to Rio Gopaul. Thanks for the input on the list of cards. I want to say thanks to Jasco Games and our Patreon sponsors. Thanks for supporting the channel, and we'll see you next time on the Attack Package series. Good night, everyone.